Hello, 5th grade. How's it going, guys? So, welcome to the final scene of our character analysis unit. I've seen some analyses from you guys. I've seen a video or two as well that people have sent me, and I like what I've seen so far, so keep at it if you haven't given me one yet. But the big thing that we are going to talk about today, our very last scene, right, is an interesting one. We have done a scene with 2 males. We have done a scene with 2 females. And we have done a scene that has a male and a female. So now I am going to finish up this unit with a scene that can be done by either 2 males or 2 females. And this is going to be very interesting when we read through this, because you may imagine yourself, as I read along with this, you may imagine 2 males, 2 females, or maybe even a male and a female together. There are 3 different combinations we could possibly do for this scene. All right? And before we start, let's go ahead and just review, as we always do, the 4 parts of scene analysis. Number 1, what is a character's journey, right? So we have had 2 characters in all of these scenes. And the big thing to think about is, how do they feel at the beginning, their feelings, in the middle, and in the end? And what is their motivation at the beginning, the middle, and the end? So what do they want, right? And if it changes, how does it change and where does it change? Which is what we get to with number 4, beats, right? So number 2, once again, is something known as plot progression, right? And what we do with plot progression, right, is, like I said, in the scene, we have exactly a few lines of dialogue that tell us about the characters, a little bit about who they are, just gets the scene out of the way. Plot progression, as I've always said, is figuring out what happens in the past and what happens in the future. Because if we figure out those things, we should be able to determine, or we should be able to get a better idea of what is actually happening in each scene. And number 3 is exposition, right? And exposition is, as I've said before, a few lines of dialogue that ultimately help us figure out who the characters are that are located in the scene, right? So certain lines might give us a clue as to a relationship between these characters and a little bit about themselves. And number 4 is beats, and as I've said before, beats is when we take segments of the scene and break them down into parts, right? So we put a line in between certain lines, or you might write the word beat in parentheses. Some scripts already have them, but we split up a scene into different parts so we can figure out where the emotions and feelings change, and also where the motivation changes, right? And that helps us kind of determine the beginning, the middle, and the end, and also picks apart how each character changes through a scene. So beats and a character journey are kind of related, right? So they can usually be the same. Okay, now let's go ahead and... So like I said, this scene today is called Mojo. And the 2 characters in this scene are Alex and Marty. And Alex and Marty can easily be changed to be 2 females, or it can be a male and a female. In the script, and you will notice this, if you've taken a look before, you'll notice this in the script. It says that Marty can be played by a woman. And I'd like to go ahead and take a look at this and say that maybe both can happen, right? Maybe Alex could be played by a girl as well. I think that if we open up all possibilities, it is easier for us to analyze a scene, right? And maybe it's easier for us to get a grip on the characters, depending on which gender they are. So, I am going to read this scene to you guys, right? And we are going to go ahead once we're done, like we always do, and pick apart this scene. All right. So here, let me just make sure my camera is good. I'll back up. Okay, friends, here we go. So the scene starts with Alex. And Alex says, "You're smiling. Why are you smiling?" Marty says, "Alex, what if I told you I could make all of your motocross dreams come true?" And Alex says, "You can't." Marty says, "But what if I told you I could? We at Marty Mojo Management want you, Alex Mojo, to be our next client." Alex says, "How many clients do you have?" And Marty says, "Counting you?" Alex says, "No." Marty says, "I'm counting you. 1. And Alex says, "Oh, you know what? Forget this manager jive. I am a man in need of competition." Marty says, "What about Tricked Out? Isn't that tomorrow night?" And Alex says, "Yeah, right. I've been working that angle for months. Those guys haven't even bothered to write me back." And Marty says, "If I can get you into Tricked Out, will you let me be your manager?" And Alex says, "Cool." Marty says, "I'm going to assume that word is yes." Right? Okay. So there we go. Another short and simple scene. Now, before we delve into the structure of the scene or the scene analysis, we do have some new vocabulary words here that I am going to point out just so we have them. All right, so I will write these on the board. I will also, friends, have a list again for you guys to look at so you can figure out what some of these words mean. All right? So we have, let's see. You're smiling, motocross. All right, so the first one, the first big one is motocross. Now I am going to write motocross on the board. Let's go, let's see how much room I've got. All right, so right over here, motocross. Now, motocross is a motorcycle racing competition, right? And they're special motorcycles that are designed to run on dirt tracks, right? So that is a motocross. So Marty, whether Marty is a male or a female, Marty is a motocross racer. So, and sometimes too, motocrosses have special trick competitions. You'll notice that the contest he's trying to enter in the script is called Tricked Out. And that's another expression I'll write down. But the whole point of that competition is that they are looking for people who do tricks with their motorcycles. So instead of being a race, like most motocrosses are, this is a competition where people do tricks on dirt tracks. So, motorcycle competition on a dirt track. So we have that so far, a dirt track. So that is a motocross. Hope you guys can see that. I know it's kind of far away. That's the best I can do with what I've got as far as a camera and room. So we have that. All right, so now let's see. We have motocross. That is our first vocabulary word. Our next one is mojo. So mojo, I'll write mojo over here. Okay. Now, mojo is a fun one. Mojo is a very interesting word. Marty Mojo Management is a clever play on words that Alex picks from Marty. And mojo usually means something that's sort of magic, right? So he wants to, so it's sort of a fun little word that means magic. So basically what we want, what Alex wants, is for Marty to feel like he's got a little magic when he does motocross. Hence the word Marty Mojo. So mojo kind of means magic. You got a little magic, you got a little dazzle. Not actual magic like, at a birthday party pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but a special magic about you, if that makes any sense, right? Okay, so we have motocross and we have mojo. Now, there is yet another word in there, client. Client is our next word. So I'm going to write client right below our list of scene analysis vocabulary. A client. Now, a client is a customer inside a special company, right? So a customer that is exclusive to a company. So basically, if you think about athletes, right? Think about your favorite athlete in the NBA, right? Or NFL, Major League Baseball, in soccer, right? There's always a big athlete. And most athletes, the biggest athletes, right? Think about LeBron James, Steph Curry, anyone who play, Ryan Braun, Christian Yelich, Giannis, right? They all have agents. They have sports agents who work for a specific agency. And when athletes choose the agent, then athletes are the clients for the agent, right? So it's kind of like special customer. Okay? And so Alex wants Marty to become his or her client, depending on which gender is playing which. So Marty Mojo Management is the fun name for this agency that Alex wants to start, and Marty will be the special client. So far, so good? All right. And let me see. I believe we had one more word. Oh, yes. Alex says, forget this manager jive, right? So jive means, put that down on the board here. Let me make sure I can see it. Okay. Jive. We'll put jive right over here. So there are a couple of ways to define jive. A jive is actually an old dance that's been around for a long time. It's a kind of dance move, jive, but that's not what this is. In this case, jive is sort of a bunch of words you use to make yourself sound cool or make yourself sound like you know what you're talking about. So it's like, oh yeah, that jive about being such a great athlete, or that jive about, that big money deal he wanted to go in on, something like that. So that's a jive, right? So it's basically just a collection of words, right, that people use to try and make something sound cool. It might be, it might not be, right? And it's, yep. So, jive. A bunch of words, usually ridiculous, meant to sell something. probably our best way of putting this. Okay. All right, awesome. So those are our big vocabulary words for this scene. All right, excellent. So now that we have these in mind, we can go ahead and start analyzing our scene. Okay, so these are all up here, right? So I have the definitions here, and if you are writing them down, that's fine. I will also post this on Schoology so that you guys have them, so either way, don't fret. Okay? All right, so let me go ahead and erase these real quick, and we'll go ahead and break down this scene about Mojo. All right, so let me pull up the script again, my friends, so it's easy for us to look at it. All right, so the first thing we want to think about is character journey, right? Let's see. All right, so, oh yes, boy, I apologize. So basically, yeah, sorry, Alex is the rider, and Marty is trying to be his agent. I messed that up. I apologize, guys. And so let's go ahead, if we can, analyze each character. So we have character journey. One here and one here. All right, let me just make sure you guys can still see me. Good. So over here we have Alex. And over here we have, it's not to write his name so high. Over here we have Marty. Fantastic. Okay, so Alex and Marty. Fantastic. So let's take a look at, still, right? Alex and Marty. Okay. So Alex. Alex is a motocross racer, right? And at the beginning, he sounds a little worried, right? He seems like he wants to be a big motocross racer, but he's not sure if he can do it. So, seems a little worried. So, at the beginning. And ultimately, motivation, let's put motivation up here, wants to be motocross racer. Fantastic, so we have that. All right, moving right along. It says you can't. But what if I told you you could? How many clients do you have? So he sounds, let's see, in the middle, Alex is not sure that, or rather, Alex is not sure that Marty can do it. So he is in the middle, even though Marty is trying to sell him on being his agent, right, and representing him in this competition. So Alex is two things. He is doubtful and he is, I'll put another word up here, apprehensive. It's a big word. So, doubtful means you're not sure if something can happen, you're not sure if somebody can do something, and you doubt it, right? You're not good enough, you don't know if you can accomplish something even though you have a big idea or big dreams. You're just not sure if something's going to work, and you doubt it, right? Apprehensive means that you are, it's kind of like doubtful, but it's a little more, you're kind of upset, you're a little upset because someone's trying to cheer you up, and you think their idea that might cheer you up is not really that great, and you just kind of like, well, that won't work, right? Why would you do that? So that's apprehensive, right? You're not angry at someone, but you're a little annoyed that they're trying to help you and it's not working, right? Apprehensive is not really a great way to feel, but it's something that we always feel. And then at the end, let's go ahead and take a look again. All right. Alex says, Marty says, if I can get you into this competition, will let me be my manager? And Alex says, word, which means, I said that wrong earlier. Word is another way of saying awesome, right? So that means yes. Yep. And word. All right. So Alex at the end, he is excited. Excited. And he is hopeful. All right, so we have that. Okay, so far so good. We have analyzed Alex. Now let's go to the other side and let's give an analysis for Marty, right? Okay, so Marty is at the beginning, middle, and end. So ultimately what he wants, much like Alex, doesn't really change, right? Alex wants to help, or Marty wants to help Alex become best racer ever. Best motocross racer ever, right? So we know that. Now, let's see. Beginning, middle, and end for Marty. So at the beginning, he's two things. He is hopeful. He really, really thinks that this can work. And he is, I'll put another big word up here. He is ambitious, right? And ambitious is a super big word. Ambitious is basically when you have a big, big dream, like you really want to do something real big. And it may be a little too much. It might be a little unrealistic. Like maybe, I'm not sure if we can get this all done, but you really truly think that this big idea you have is something you can make happen. So that is what it means to be ambitious, right? Okay. In the middle, let's see, is, excuse me, in the middle, let me see here, we have, forget this manager jive, I'm a man in need of competition, right? How many clients do you have? I'm counting you. 1. I'm going to put something weird down. It's not really an emotion. It's more a person he decides to make. B, he in the middle, Marty, how does he feel? Like, I'm just going to put down salesman. Like I said, not a feeling, but that's definitely what he's doing. He's trying to sell Alex on this idea of being a big motorcycle motocross racer. So, middle, definitely a salesman. All right. And in the end, he feels proud, right? So he says at the very end, right? If I can get you into Tricked Out, will you let me be your manager? Alex says, word. Marty goes, I'm going to assume that word is a yes. So even though he kind of teases Alex for saying word, right? He feels proud. Let's put proud down because he feels so great about getting Alex to, getting Alex to try this competition. All right. Okay. So we have that. We have our character journey. Now we need to go ahead and figure out plot progression. So for plot progression, I'm going to draw a line down here. Plot progression. We need past. And we need the future. It's up to us to figure out what goes where. Right? So, in the past, let's see. If I were reading this scene and I looked at what happened beforehand, I feel like Alex likes to ride a motorcycle he has for fun, right? But he really is not sure if he can take it into a competition and do well. So, the past, Alex likes riding motorcycle or motorbike. Let's put motorbike. Dreams big. Not sure if he can make it. All right, so we have that, right? Okay, and we also have, let me see, not sure if you can make it. Let me bend my screen a little here. Now, if I get you into this competition, will you let me be my manager? Word. So I think that they're successful, right? So after all of this, I think that most definitely they get into the competition. Now the real question is, do they do well or do they not do well? I feel like this is just the very beginning of a big show or a big movie. So I say in the future, enter competition, and lots of movies do this. Let's say at first they don't do well. Don't do well at first, but in the end, they win it all. Perfect, so we have that, right? So in the past, Alex likes riding his motorcycle. It's kind of like a movie you might see on the Disney Channel, right? So Alex likes riding his motorbike, or her motorbike. Dreams big, not sure if he or she can make it, right? And in the future, enters a competition, doesn't do well at first, but in the end, they will win it all. And this scene right here is Marty trying to motivate Alex to enter this competition. So this is the big, crucial scene where we convince Alex to give this a try with that motorbike of his. Okay, and let's see, we have exposition. Oh, there are definitely some lines in here where we talk about exposition. So, Marty says, what if I told you I could make all of your motocross dreams come true? We at Marty Mojo Management want you, Alex Mojo, to be our client, right? So, we find out very quickly from exposition, those couple of lines, they are friends. Alex rides motorcycle. And what else? And Marty really, really wants to be his agents. Marty wants to be agents. So within the first 3 lines, I feel like we know everything about them, which is awesome. So quick exposition, and then we're on to the rest of the scene that tells us the story of what's going to go on. Perfect. Lastly, beats. All right? Let's see. So I like to think, believe it or not, that there's 3 beats. I think the first beat happens when we say, let's see, you're smiling, why are you smiling? Through to, I'm counting you 1, right? So Marty's trying to sell Alex, and it doesn't really work. So that's our first beat. Alex changes the tone with, forget this manager jive, right? That's beat 2. And it goes all the way through to Marty suggests tricked out. And if I can get you into tricked out, will you let me be your manager? Beat 2 ends there. Beat 3 starts with word. And I'm going to assume that word is yes. So that's our very short but sweet third beat. So there we have it. All right, my friends. So some of you have analyzed the scene for me. Some of you sent me videos. go ahead and pick a scene and analyze it if you haven't done it yet. This scene that I read you guys, like all the others I've read you guys, will be on Schoology like it always is. So go ahead and take a look at the vocabulary for just this scene, for the vocabulary in general, and try to analyze a scene and see how the characters look and sound to you. All right, I appreciate your patience with all these weird virtual lessons, my friends. Be safe, be well, and have fun with this. All right, guys. I'll see you Thursday. Bye.